and welcome to another live demonstration. Today I want to introduce you to this new brush from Vinci. It's the VARIO-EFFECT Series 88 and it's a great big effect brush which is really nice. The hair is really soft. I've left it dry because I just wanted to show you how lovely it looks before I wet, and the difference because it does change when I wet it. So made from synthetic hair and two different lengths to give you that really textured marks. So let's have a look. So this is it dry, and it is very soft. I can feel it, obviously you can't. So it's nice and soft, so I know it's going to hold plenty of water and plenty of pigment. So I'm just going to wet it. It's suitable for both watercolours and acrylics. And just look, I'm just having to dab off some of the water. Just look at what happens when you get it wet. It makes this really spiky effect, which is going to be great for lots of texture. And I often talk about texture in my work. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do a few little marks, just see how the brush works. With any brush, even if it's a round brush like I've got here, it's always worth making marks, seeing how the brush works, because you'll find techniques. You can learn the techniques of the brush before you do them on a painting. So I'll do some marks, then I'll do a couple of demonstrations, just show you how you can make the brush work in a real painting. Okay, so let's just use one of my favourite colours, and this is alizarin. It's not a very light fast colour, which is unfortunate because it's a fabulously blue-red colour. Okay, so look at those fabulous marks. So see how it, notice how I hold the brush again. I hold it at the end, or I will hold it in the middle. Again, it gives you different effects. I could hold it with my hand across. So learning to hold your brush in different ways is another skill. And I do find sometimes people hold it in one way as they would do a pen, and it's not so easy for them to actually change the way that they make marks. So I'm going to double load, which means I'm picking up one colour and a little bit of another colour. So let's see how this works. So grasses, how easy is that? Then you can use it for stippling. So think about that lovely textures. I have seen it described as using it for swirls, so let's have a go at swirls. Let's go back in with the alizarin. I love this colour. Actually, let me double load with another my favourite colour, which is the phthalo tropical blue. It's really bright blue. Oh wow, look at that. So again, it's just seeing what the brush does for the textures. And as you're making these marks, suddenly something will strike you and think, ah, that's fabulous. Maybe I could use it on this. Let's try a wave. So if I push hard, I can make, not enough colour. You probably can't see that. Let me load up a little bit. So the brush, this big body, will hold plenty of pigment. So I should be able to make these marks without reloading for a long time. I'm just seeing what it does when I push in and use the belly. So again, just finding the way it works. Okay, let's see if I can flatten it. No, still quite round. So with the round ferrule, it's just keeping that shape. But look, I like that one. Curly hair, there we go. How easy is that? Different layers. And we will actually do some hair in a later demonstration. So just, this is a piece of practice paper. It's an artist quality cellulose paper, but what it does, it gives you the opportunity to speckles across the sea. Let's try. So as I'm talking, I'm playing with it and I'm seeing other potential marks. Oh, look at that, waves. So this is what the best thing to do with any new brush. Just have a play. And I'm not going to get rid of this. I can keep it for reference because I can kind of think, oh, what made that mark? So I need to clean off my brush, and what we'll do is we'll put them into a real painting. So just put this to one side. So what I've done is I've pre-laid out a very simple landscape. The French ultramarine coming up to, I think I will use an ochre, yellow ochre, and then mix the ochre with the French ultramarine. Just gives me a very simple landscape. So I've allowed that to dry. And I'm just going to see, using a ready-made green, the reason being it's quicker and easier, to see if I can put maybe some nice trees in the background by having the brush quite wet, and then see if I can make the grasses and maybe some foliage in the foreground. So I'm going to double load with, I think that's hooker's green and ultramarine. And what I want is it quite wet, so I'm just dabbing it off to my brush, and there I can see it's probably a bit too strong. So I'm just going to add a little bit of the alizarin. It just purples it down. You know, when you're looking at distance, you want things to be. So let's see, because I haven't done this before. It's a bit strong. So more water, less pigment. Just picking up a little bit more colour.
Anita,
yes.
Everybody's loving the brush.
When I first saw it, to be honest, I went, wow. I mean, it feels lovely to hold. It's really nicely balanced. You just have to think, what can I do with it? But once you've got going and once you've just started to play and you found out, look at these wonderful textures.
Anita.
How easy is that?
Ian suggests maybe doing some spattering with it. That might work.
Can do, yeah, we'll do that at the end. So I'll get the grasses on. But that works quite well, and what I can do is let it dry, see how it dries, and maybe put a little bit more definition. Doesn't mean I have to do a whole painting with the one brush. It's a textured brush. It's to drop in and out of. So let's just drop in, I don't know, I've double loaded again. Don't know if the colours are going to be a bit too bright. And do some grasses, because that was really nice. Again, I just adjusted my hand just because I felt it was a little too stiff. Again, this is why I stand up to work. I just like the movement, being able to stand back and move my hand. So let's try a little bit more of a detailed texture. So much more pigment. See how many layers I need. So what I could have done is done a base layer with the colour and then use this on top just to add texture. But it's working quite well. Quite like some of these marks. That's really lovely there. I like a brush that you do have a little bit of control of, but the marks are just often quite a surprise. So let's see if I can keep building up texture. I like quite strong colours, so this isn't quite strong enough for me, but I've learnt to let it dry, see what I can do. And probably because it holds plenty of water, I'm not picking up enough pigment for me. You can see there by using the belly how I can soften. So there's a lot you can do with this brush, a lot more than when I first looked at it. I thought that's going to be for the wonderful grasses, but actually just using it offers a lot more potential. So splattering, let's try some splattering. Tell you what, let's see if I can put poppies and make it look like a field. So alizarin. I'm going to get very messy. You do realise this. Oh, very fine. It's really fine. I'm not sure if you can pick that up, Gary.
Yeah, I can just see it.
It is, that's really fine. So you have a toothbrush, and I when you do it, you often find it goes quite powerfully. Because of the hair's being very soft, it actually is giving a very fine effect. So you're not going to get poppies unless I do a little bit of swirl. I don't know. We're just having a play. So that was really interesting because I hadn't tried the splattering, but how very fine it was. So there's another opportunity. So thank you, Ian, for that. A good suggestion. Hadn't thought about it. I probably would have done later, but I hadn't thought about it just to try now. So again, it's having, what I like is when you have lots of artists in the community and they give you suggestions, because something like splattering I hadn't thought about, to be honest. And actually, it's really interesting to see how it works. So that was just, again, just seeing how it works in a landscape. This is a little bit more detail. I've pre-drawn out, and you can see I've put a nice flat wash. What I want to see is how I can pick up and do the fur. So I need some more tissue because I've really soaked that big brush, plenty of water it holds. So synthetic, but really kind of very much works more like a natural, that softness. So I've got some indigo and some transparent grey. I know I can mix my own, but for this, I think it's fine. And I'm just going to double load. I'm not overly worried. So just working out the direction. It comes off the back like this. Wow. How easy is that? Pick up the texture. And what I'm going to try and do is some layering. Because this is just the first layer. Given a light base, then I can start to, I think the fur comes around here, start to darken. And what I was going to do is use some white on top just to add that final sparkle. So just layering. I'm not even needing to let it to dry. So the hair comes down here. So each time I'm adding more pigment, less water. And I'm just really impressed. It's something you need to learn. How do I hold it? How does it work? And again, it's quite a big brush. So how do I do these final pieces? Well, you don't have to use this brush. I'm just pushing it a little bit to the potential, just to take it down, make sure the body's attached. Yes, you can paint out each individual, but I'm a bit of a lazy painter. I just like brushes that actually do the work. So I'm just using the edge. That's nice, how that's picking up darker colours, dark into the ear. Right, let's really load with both colours. Start to add some dark. Okay, let's look, see where it comes around here. Some darker areas there. Trying to work out what this was. I can't remember where I took the picture, to be honest. It's probably...
It's a monkey! It's
a gibbon, I think. And it might have been somewhere in Norfolk I took the picture. But it was the fur or hair. Do you have on a primate?
Probably hair.
Yeah, I would think it's hair. But look how quick and effective that has actually picked up. I'm just not going to, I'm looking at areas just because some areas are darker than others, using different directions. So it's much darker here. I think both of these are quite transparent colours, which I will have to work with, but let's catch some dark areas under the chin. So it looks attached, so I haven't got a, I like that. So I was going to use another brush here just to fit the hair onto the body. I wasn't sure how controlled I could be, but it doesn't feel like I need to.
Anita?
Yes.
Because this brush is so new and
Yes.
not even on our website yet.
It should be getting there.
It's getting there. Do you know roughly how much it's going to be?
Not a clue. I don't work, sorry, I do not work with numbers. Sorry. It should be, I'm sure I heard it's being put on the website as we speak.
Yeah, it should be on today.
But I honestly haven't got any idea about how much it costs. Sorry. Okay. Now I'm just going to stop there because I'm going to keep working. What I think that's a good chance to have a break because I need this to dry, and then I'll just finish off that last bit with that bit of white watercolour, which I don't use very often because often I've kept the lightness of the watercolour through the paper, but sometimes you can put a bit of opaque white on, just especially with fur and in the eyes, just to add that extra bit of sparkle. So join me in a minute while this dries, and then we can just add some finishing touches.
Let us bring out the artist in you. If you'd like to learn how to paint or improve your painting, the SAA is here to inform, encourage and inspire you every step of the way. When you become an SAA member, you get so many benefits, including the free bi-monthly newsletter Paint, packed with inspiring step-by-step projects, fascinating articles and detailed information to get your creative juices flowing. Discounts on over 13,000 art products featured on the SAA website and in the Home Shop catalogue, with free order line and free delivery in the UK mainland. A devoted SAA team on hand to answer your questions and give you the confidence and motivation you need to start painting and develop at a pace that suits you. Plus, a free welcome pack filled with gifts and practical help to get you started, as well as the opportunity to make friends with like-minded people.
Best thing about being a member is the inspiration from the magazines, to be able to purchase things at a very reasonable price.
Yeah, you get the reduction on all the materials, the advice you get.
I could shop from home.
It's a community.
It seemed like a very friendly sort of organisation.
If somebody's thinking of joining, don't spend too long thinking. Just join. They'll love it.
And we're back.
Hello and welcome back. So I've had a chance to give that a quick dry and then look at areas that actually I possibly still need to just work on. And you'll see when things dried, the colour changes and it goes back. So maybe I just need to add a little bit more. Then I'll give that a blast. All I'm doing is dipping into both the translucent grey and the indigo, both quite transparent colours, just to give me not just a solid black, but it's going to have a hint of both colours. I did a base layer using the indigo. Now just catching those final few details. Okay, I'm going to keep fiddling. I've got to stop. Let's just give that a blast because I want to add the white and I don't want it to be contaminated. That should be fine. Okay, so I'm just going to clean my brush off really well because I want to add the really nice grey sparkle that's where the light is catching the back. And you've got some, I might just leave this white area here or I might just add a few marks with the white just to see how it works. Don't know, let's just see. Often it's a case of getting on with things or walking away as well, because I was having real trouble with the eyes and I just kept doing them, and I constantly was standing there doing them. I walked away, come back, and then you can really see what the issue was. So just adding some of this opaque white, just really loading the tips of the brush. And I'm now looking at where it's just catching the light, because again, I don't want to overwork, so it comes down here, it's lovely. So I'm using this quite neat, not a huge amount of water, which just gives you that really nice texture as it grips the paper as well, using the surface of the paper as well as the texture of the brush. Don't think I'm able to do that as well, and I can see some white hairs coming down here. For these really more detailed hairs, I think it's probably best to go to a smaller brush, but just seeing what I can do. Okay. Right, let's go back in. So very neat. So I just don't want to really do too much. Just catching, picking up some of these areas at the bottom. I think that's probably it for now, because I will just keep working and we'll lose some of that texture underneath. So the Da Vinci VARIO-EFFECT brush, it does what it says, it makes effects. But even doing this demonstration, I found a couple of effects I was quite surprised about. Even though I'd had a go before, it was pleasantly surprising to find the different effects. Learn how to hold a brush, hold it in different ways, even hold it in your opposite hand, because again, that takes away some of that constraint you have because you're so used to writing and that's how you've learnt to hold things. Stand up, you know, give yourself movement, give your arm movement, and it's all down to how you can make that one brush do lots of different effects. So I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope you do get an opportunity to have a play and to own this wonderful brush. And join me later in the week for another new brush brought out by Da Vinci, which is, this one, the next one is really lovely. It's a beautiful tool. So join me later in the week.